You're listening to another episode of the Vintage House Show. We're the premier on-air radio show and podcast dedicated to illuminating and preserving the lives, the music, the careers, the first-person narratives in the history that is house music. We're powered by the Modern Dance Music and Research Archiving Foundation, the only repository in the United States dedicated solely to the study, the preservation, and celebration of the genres of house and dance music. Our mission, in short, is to preserve the memories and the memorabilia and artifacts that support the sustainability of the culture and its future. Tonight, we'd like to share a recap of the year 2022, a monumental year for the Vintage House Show, and we're all here together, just about all of us, and I'll invite my colleagues to introduce themselves. I'm your main man, Mega, and we've got our executive producer and founder.
Hey, it is Lauren Lowry. DJ Rocky is on his way into the show. So I'll throw it over to DJ Lori Branch.
Hey guys, welcome to our end of the year wrap up. It's been an exciting year. I can't wait to get into all the wonderful things that have happened and what's going to come for 2023. I'll throw it over to DJ Momami.
Hello, everyone. I'm DJ Momami, host of the Vintage House Show Spotlight, and I am so excited to talk about all the greatness we did in 2022 and prep and plan for even bigger for the next year.
Guys, I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, we had a wonderful 2022. I think it started off a little kind of, we're still COVID-y, we're kind of in the studio, not in the studio. It was cold, things happened, things were shut down. It's kind of an interesting year, but then it ramped up pretty good, even though I can't remember all the things we did. But, let's just say we had Black History Month, and I think we're having sort of some thematic, sort of things. And, we were introduced to DJ Momami with Women's History Month and, 2 years ago, which was just a wonderful way to, sort of jump into the Vintage House Show Spotlight. DJ Momami, talk to us about your year, some of your, the favorite guests this year, and then maybe also some of the things you did personally, because I know all of you are DJing all over the city, so would love to hear more about what you are doing.
2022, it was really fun to get back into the studio. You're right. We started off a little rocky. I think there was like a COVID wave, and so the studio was shut down for a little bit. And so it was great to be back, have some of my friends and DJs I admire on there. I had a guest named M-Doc, who's really monumental to the house music scene currently. He was actually just featured in a book called Destination Dance Floor. And he was featured for his work in the My House Music Festival that happens here in Pilsen. So it was really cool seeing a guest I had throughout this year in a book talking about house music and the importance of the dance floor and his impact as a DJ. So that was awesome. And then summertime, I think there's something that comes so alive in the summer in Chicago and with house music. To go to the Chosen Few picnic was a huge highlight for me. That was actually my first time. So it was really great to hear that Terry Hunter Beyonce remix live for the first time in the crowd. That was great. And then interviewing Hiroko Yamamura and then seeing her the next month at the ARC Fest was also great, because she's so wonderful, tiny woman, but a big powerhouse in energy and her music selection. And I actually just saw that she recorded a Boiler Room that was released about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Oh my God.
She was great. So there was just some really great people that walked through that studio and lended their hour of talents. And I'm just grateful to have hosted them.
Well, we have to get that book. Please get the book. And,
I have it. Where is it? Right here.
We need 4 of them. We need 4 of them. Let's get it. Oh, yeah, get a closer.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Mix Mag, yes. We love books. We're
Yeah.
big book people here. We're nerds. We
Yeah.
we love a nice book. That's wonderful. Yeah, Hiroko was wonderful. It was great to be backstage at ARC Fest and sort of, getting a chance to chit chat a little bit behind the scenes, which I thought was wonderful. DJ Lori Branch.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, Burning Man, I could go on. I mean, girl,
Yeah,
talk to us
wonderful.
about talk to us about your year at the Vintage House Show and your year personally.
Yeah. What's funny is this is a year where I sort of got back, since we had such issues with COVID, I got back into like just what it was like to be in the studio and to spin for the radio audience. And we don't often do that where you're just off camera and you can just play what you want to play and you just have a moment with yourself and the people who are listening. And just when you think no one is listening, you find out that's not the case because people listen to radio. And
That's true.
WNUR has been really great to us. I'm really glad to still be a part of the whole Street Beat community. I meet so many cool people that way. I played one night just myself on the radio. And the next day I did a spot at Berlin. And there were several guys who came up to me and said, we heard you on the radio last night. That's why we're here today,
Wow.
So you just don't know who's listening. So I'm just grateful to still be in that studio space. It's been good to us. And to really, as Momani mentioned, to be able to hold so many cool people. I didn't do a whole lot of hosting this year because we're kind of spread out a little bit, but the few times that I did was really magical. I mean, Lady D, who was with me at Burning Man, and now I can talk about Burning Man all day. That was quite an experience. But she came into the studio. VD Girl's been in the studio with us, and she's a Northwestern alum, and she's, very familiar with that. So we always have a good time when we're live. We'll be doing a lot more guests in the studio for 2023, really trying to line up some folks that we haven't talked to before, maybe like local talent who maybe are icons in their own right, or who are burgeoning talent, that are on the music scene. And let's not forget, the Chicagoans who we hosted or we rehosted, we rehosted or reposted, should I say, my girl, Honey Dijon, who's just blown up so tremendously this year with her work with Beyonce and her own album, Black Girl Magic. Both of these albums topping the charts. She's Chicago and she's doing it big and she's been on our show. And so we're grateful for that. And just really grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this crew. It's a very special group of people who are committed and dedicated. And I love that Mamami's with us and Rocky. And I don't know where Carl Jenkins is. I ain't seen him lately. He's still hanging out with us.
Carl is our fill-in, which but then,
Okay.
to fill him in, we got to call a year in advance.
Oh my
Can you
goodness,
come in?
Too much.
He's
Anyway,
traveling
we're
like
all
you were.
sorry.
He travels. He's BMOC. He's a big man on campus. Like he's
Yeah,
a huge
yeah.
banker. It's hard to catch him in Chicago,
That's
but
okay.
we got to get him in a little bit more
We'll
this
work
year.
on Carl for 2023. I want to give some shine to what happened over the summer. So many cool events. Chicago in the summer is the place to be. I don't care where you live. You should come to Chicago in July and August. You're guaranteed a good time in house music. Of course, the Chosen Few event is always top of the charts. So cool to be able to hang out backstage and talk to Alan and Jesse and everyone, and sending so much love to Jesse as he recovers.
Yes.
We heard from him through his niece that he's doing better. So much love to Jesse. We're looking forward to seeing him more in 2023. I also want to give some love to Rhonda, Nick, and her crew at Pier 31. Got a chance to be there this summer. Always a blast. Got
So
to spend with, so many wonderful women DJs because she likes to do a women's lineup. I'm okay with that. And just a lot of cool things, too many to mention. So if I didn't, thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks for continuing this legacy that we know of as house music. And I'll stop there because I'll go on and on.
Kev Mega.
Yeah, but there is so much more Lori Branch has had happening. And
what I miss.
Yeah, I mean the Good Girls. You talked about the Good Girls, but that group continues to explode, and we're here for it. We are here for the Good Girls as well. I had the opportunity to have one of the good girls in studio this summer. We did the recap, Lady D and I, of the Chosen Few picnic, and so that was a blast and highlight, and we just chopped it up. It was kind of comedy mixed with, you know, reviews of the performances, and that was a highlight for me this summer. But the year began, interestingly enough, with a songstress not Chicago based, but certainly epic in the realm of house music, and that was Julie McKnight, whose discography is oh my gosh, it's just, you know, amazing. Unfortunately, we had to do the back and forth over video because, again, COVID, and I think she has been in and out of Chicago this year, but nonetheless, it was a pleasure spending time with the revered Julie McKnight. And I also got to talk to the producer, one of the producers of the Woodstock of House documentary, which was a monumental initiative that really had some wings this year. What was interesting, Lauren and I actually went to the premiere screening here in Chicago. I think that was actually at the end of 2021, but we got to see it all together, and it was really a fun time to be had. I think, Lori, you were in the doc, right? You had a cameo.
I don't think I'm in that one.
Were you? You're not in that one.
I'm in It's Different in Chicago.
Okay.
So that also premiered. You know, David Weathersby, I think. Am I right?
Was the producer?
Yes. Yeah. Produced that really great piece. I mean, I just love that there's so much more interest in documenting the history from the people in our community. You know, it's no shade to UK, but they've done it. They've done it well. It's nice to hear, like, see and hear local talent producing content, documentaries, interviews, you know, about our community. So, you know, shout out to documentarians.
Indeed. And so the year continued with some, again, as was shared, a mix of in studio and virtual interviews, also with Rod Wimberly of the Woodstock of House. DJ Mellow Man also appeared on that episode as we were closing out Black History Month. And then in Women's History Month, we had an incredible reunion of a party promotion team, PG Productions. Lauren and I got to talk to the ladies of PG Productions, who happen to be sorors of Lauren, and that was a fun time. I actually was a resident DJ for PG Productions back in the day, so I was really excited to do that one, along with having in studio George G. Spot Jackson, which was a great conversation. And George also has, in 2022, really gotten his wings. He's been at ADE all the way through many experiences across the US here. And then, as Lori mentioned as well, there was a replay that was also special to me of a show we did, Lori and I did, with DJ Alicia and Kim Mazel, another iconic vocalist and another epic DJ and DJ Alicia. Also, Dave Jeff, who is a cultural icon here in Chicago, more known on the hip hop side. He came in and we chopped it up about the Hyde Park Summer Fest, of which I was a part of helping produce the logistics around the Hyde Park Summer Fest, which again had really a hip hop music focus. However, several house DJs rocked it out during the Hyde Park Summer Fest. on the campus of the University of Chicago. And that was a key highlight. And another festival I got to be a part of was the Chosen Few Festival, and returned to the PR and publicist role as the publicist for the House Music Festival and handling media relations. So of course, the Vintage House Show team got great coverage of that event and got to talk to a lot of people appearing. So yeah, that was sort of the first half of the year. The second half was full of continued excitement and lots of interviews with great people. I also celebrated my 4th anniversary with a return to the decks. That was in September, when 4 years prior to that, I joined the Vintage House Show team during the month of September, the Mega Takeover, it was called. And so
Mega, I wanted to give a shout out to what we did together. I forgot to give the shout out to the House Music Symposium towards the more kind of fall.
Right.
That was great. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that, and I feel like I got to learn a lot, like being from my perspective, my point of view, someone so new in the game, to hear from, you know, the old heads, the people who kind of laid the foundation for everything, and then to do that together and kind of see the PR side of house music and what goes into the planning, the prepping, the introducing, getting to know, reading everyone's bios, and the business side of house music. I think that was so awesome, that especially that the city helped put it together.
Absolutely. City did a nice job this year, pulling together a lot of great things. So big shout out to DCase and the city of Chicago too.
Absolutely. Our man, David Chavez is a great partner. And we look forward to continuing to partner. And I was going to say, my time with you, Momami, that night was great. You did sort of bring like this extra shine that the team panelists were like, wow, Momami, all right. You got put on that night in a good way, in a good spotlight. So thank you. I'm sure I thanked you then, but I thank you again.
Thank you
now for that. And that was a monumental moment, I think, for the Vintage House brand as a whole as well, partnering with the city of Chicago on its actual house music festival. We helped kick it off, right? And we hope to be a partner with them again next year in 2020.
We kicked it off, but we also curated that. So we put together all of those panels and panelists, including the content and the subject matter, et cetera. So yeah, so that was like a really wonderful, sort of event to be a part of across the board. And the great thing I think that we're doing is making sure that all of us can participate. All of us were able to come and host. I was asking for friends, if you had friends who had sort of interesting backgrounds, people we don't know about. And that's what the spotlight is all about with DJ Rocky and DJ Momami. We want to bring in people who we may not think about, old and young, who have contributed to the form, who continue to contribute to the music form and genre. And, so we're so excited about that. Rocky, welcome to the recap. How you doing?
Good morning. Sorry I'm late, you guys. I was up late and woke up and said, oh, wait a minute. It's 10:30. Uh-oh.
You just waking up. You had a good Christmas. I mean, it is Christmas, Christmas time. So we understand. So Rocky, first of all, we want to say, number one, we're all very excited that you brought in Rocky Jones to the show. That was a coup. I mean, he is a super legend. His history is unbelievable. First of all, talk to us about how you got him on the show. How did you meet Rocky Jones, and how easy was it to get him on the show? Sometimes it's easy to get people on the show. Sometimes you have to work a little bit. Talk to us about that.
Well, the funny thing is, I've known Rocky since the Warehouse on Randolph. Actually, when I got the opportunity, well, when I got engaged to my soon-to-be ex-wife, we met at the warehouse, and because we were regulars, we was going 4 nights a week. So we knew everybody at the door. We knew all the bartenders. We knew all the DJ. Of course, I knew the DJs. And it just so happened that I guess the night that we got engaged and we went, of course, hey, let's go celebrate. So where are we going? Of course, we go to the warehouse, and somehow or another, he had to be standing right. He was standing in the vicinity. We knew who he was. We spoke, you know, just the general casual, hey, how you doing? But we were talking to somebody, and we had told about our engagement, and he turned his head real quick. And he said, engagement? Took us straight to the bar, bought us a drink, had a conversation with us, and that's how our relationship started with or that's how mine did with Rocky. Ever since then, I have been, you know, we've talked. I've done. He's had a couple of different shows where I've came on and DJ'd and just did some stuff with him. So it just started there. I mean, and it just started blossoming. So I don't know. You guys call it a coup. I mean, it's just that I called up a friend and said, hey, you know, I'm doing this show. You know, I've done about 3 or 4 of yours. Can you just give me one? So, and he was like, oh, sure, no problem. So, yeah.
That's great. Well, his story is so interesting. And I think we always hear little bits and pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the show is all about, bringing friends in. That's what we wanted it to be, a conversation, not an interrogation of sorts, but, you know, you're just chit-chatting with your friends about their lives and their careers and their impact on the music. So, you know, that's been wonderful. Guys, I'm going to just throw out there, we were front and center at the Pinterest convention this year, which was unbelievable. Not only, you know, did we assist in, you know, storing artifacts and talking, but, you know, Kevin McFall was a panelist at that event. And then Lori's a panelist at another event. We'll keep going. Kevin, talk to us about the Pinterest event, which is, again, also a milestone for the Vintage House Show brand. You know, them bringing us on with this sort of large national, maybe international type of visibility and coverage.
So Pinterest.com is a social media platform where inspiration is born. And again, they have this conference. It's actually regional in nature. And we were asked by someone who is a house head to help curate a panel discussion about the history of house for the Midwestern region of Pinterest employees. And we got DJ Alan King, myself, and another DJ, DJ Kenny B, to sit on this panel and talk about various perspectives of the history of house music. While the panel was going on, Lauren and I had also curated an exhibit of artifacts for the Pinterest crew to take in and gain some first-person experiences, touching and feeling everything from T-shirts and pluggers to gold records and the map. I think you had the timeline. You had the timeline of the history.
Timeline and Lori's book, my favorite big gigantic book, which I'm going to throw out in a little bit.
Lady of the House.
The Ladies of the House. That was that's a house music iconic relic right now. You know, I'm like, that is house history. So I thought we had to include Lori in on that that exhibition.
We had Jesse's book in their own words there as well. And our continued prayers and support of our brother and our friend of the Vintage House Show, Jesse Saunders.
Former host. He hosted the show, guys. He hosted and interviewed the legends of house, Kevin McFall and Lori Branch. So it was a great show too.
That word, I don't know. Hey, while we're talking about while we're talking about panels, I did want to also just do a little spotlight on the crew over at the MCA, Gary, he leads a lot of really cool initiatives over there, Museum of Contemporary Art, and they hosted a panel that was around Nick Cave's the wonderful artist Nick Cave,
Yes.
and his beautiful pieces that were featured at MCA. And then there was a little sort of ancillary piece that was really, really nice, that was happening at the DuSable. And so they did a collaborative panel discussion there where I got to hang out with Maida, and I got to hang out with Wayne Williams and, some other folks. And we just had a wonderful conversation. They packed the
That was a
audience
great
there.
discussion
Yeah.
with, including art as a part of house music and,
Yes.
just the flavor of his work, which is, across the board in different mediums, how music plays a part in that. And you and Wayne did a really good job of sort of unpacking how those all came together with this Chicago artist. That was wonderful.
It was great. And what was cool is he's got a lot of fans who were at the Rare House, and not the original one, on Jefferson. And a lot of them were there. There were people who look, I was a kid going to the warehouse. I know we all say that, but I really was like 17 going into the warehouse. And we have folks who were older there who, who were there for the whole run, and they were in the audience and able to talk to us about, about their time there too. So we got to go back in history and then bring it forward to the current, and, and pay homage to Nick Cave's work. It was just really a sort of a magical afternoon.
So guys, yeah, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed that and coming to see you. And I definitely want a little bit of that footage too. I took some great pictures. But so guys, let me just share with you that something that was really interesting to me this year. Of course, everything that you all do is so wonderful that I just enjoy it all. But having to work with the group, which of course I can't remember the name of the group now, but we were backstage at Heatwave and the ARC Festival, which are these two sort of mega house music events in Chicago now. And it was wonderful to be backstage of that show. I could see the adrenaline. I could see sometimes some of the accelerants to bringing some of these DJs to the hype form by the time they get on stage. That's something I really don't know a lot of because I'm not always backstage. But I saw a lot of interesting things backstage at these things. So talk to me, you all. First of all, Momami, we were backstage. We did a couple of different things at, I think, ARC Festival. What do you think about sort of being backstage? And you are a DJ, so you all are on stage all the time. How is it, going in? What is the culture backstage, getting on stage? How are you hyping yourself up? Are you nervous? Because I was alarmed for all of these people with the pyrotechnics going on and, they're doing this, but then I saw a lot of stuff too. I was like, is that what you have to do to get yourself together? I was like, that is amazing. And then getting off stage, this guy was like on 10, these guys were on 10, they wanted to be interviewed, but they were like jumping up and down. I was like, you know what, this is interesting. So it was a surprise for me as a non, sort of on stage DJ. Momami, you first, tell me about that.
Yeah, being backstage at the ARC Fest and the Chosen Few, I think the biggest surprise to me was how lit people were so early. Like it was 1 p.m. and people were like, the dance floors were thick. Each stage was, people were fist bumping. And I was like, wow, in my experience, most parties, most festivals, they take like a few hours. Once the sun goes down is when we start to see the crowd fill. But for ARC Fest, for example, and that was Labor Day weekend in Chicago, which is one of, always notoriously hot, always something extreme, hot, humid, something extreme. And these people were committed to the turn up, and it gave me a lot of energy just to see. And as a DJ who's been on both sides, there is like it is nice to see people just so ready to receive your energy, because it's an energetic exchange. You're giving and you're receiving, and you're giving and you're receiving. And it was great to see people really excited. And then I totally understand afterwards, like you're kind of like, you're either exhausted or you're ramped up, and you're like, I need to come down. It's definitely like a wave. And I know for me, before I go on, I'm like, I don't even want to say words. Like I'm just trying to preserve all my energy, because then once, once the music starts playing, I'm in the zone. I'm like teleported to the zone wherever. And then once I'm off, it's like, okay, give me some water, give me a brain break. And then I can do the interviews and the talking and stuff. So it was great. Like I got to see Hiroko on stage, and it was so awesome seeing her up there, the crowd just receiving her energy and cheering at every transition. It was really great to witness.
That's great.
Lori Branch.
I'm just mad I wasn't there. I don't know why I wasn't there. I would travel a lot. So every time
you had just come back from Burning Man.
I think we were
maybe
gonna be there like the next day. Like we went on that Friday.
Oh, that's right.
Friday.
Yeah. Because
I didn't want to do that.
I went on that Saturday and it was rainy and messy and muddy out there.
Labor Day weekend, always extreme.
To your point, Momami, the energy level was not dampened one bit by it. Everyone came and were ready to enjoy and express and emote, right, in the best ways possible, and in some ways sometimes drug induced emoting. It was a festival in the truest sense, and I can see Lori spinning there in the future. I can envision that happening, and so next year, 2023, Lori, we gotta work on that.
Festivals for 2023. There's a lot coming up. Should we talk about 2023? Because there's a lot is percolating, so I think we're excited to certainly do more. I really want to polish our podcast presence a bit, and I think that we have an opportunity to make more of an impact in the radio space and in the podcast space. Speaking of, can I mention Throughline?
Sure, absolutely. That's it. We still haven't finished with 2022. We had several unique interviews.
All right, well, let's finish 2022 because I'm excited to talk about 2022.
No, Throughline is a 2022 discussion. We had a wonderful talk.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan. Throughline is a podcast. It's an NPR production, and I listen to the podcast every single time they come out with a new one. I'm always checking like every other day when I'm in the car. And one of the hosts, whose name is Ramteam Arablouei, was here with another one of the producers, Christina Kim, and Christina interviewed us for a special on house music. And the point of Throughline, if you're not familiar with the program, is that they take current events. So it could be something, that's geopolitical. It could be something that is, social, just different kinds of events that are catching people's attention. And they talk about where it came from. So if you want to understand like why, Taiwan is having issues with something, they'll talk about the history of that and how, it was off the mainland and who made what deals with whom. And then they bring it to the present. And not just politics. Sometimes it's, things like dreams or whatever. They've had so many really cool shows. And apparently they're doing something on house music. Which I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I mean, this thing is listened to by millions of people. It's a very popular show, and I'm a huge fan. So they came through. We got to sit with Christina Kim at the studio, WNUR Studios. Kevin, Lauren, myself, we took great pics. She asked amazing questions. I was taking notes on like, I got to use some of these questions when I'm interviewing people. And then they went on to interview other people. They're interviewing Vince Lawrence, interviewing, I don't know who else they interviewed, but tons of other people. Maida McNeil, of course.
Maida McNeil and of course DJ Lady D.
Really cool stuff. And I got to take a picture with my with the guy who I was fangirling, Mr. Arablouei, and he was very sweet about it. So I'm excited for that. My guess, Lauren, I don't know, did they tell us when it's going to air?
April
2023. Okay.
2023.
I thought it might be around Grammy time, but maybe not. They put a lot of hard work into it. So if you're not a fan, like go ahead and check out the Throughline podcast and you'll see why I get excited about it. And there's tons of things you can listen to. Who's been getting a lot of attention lately is the science fiction writer Octavia Butler. So they did a wonderful program on Octavia Butler, like if you're a science fiction fan.
That's interesting.
Afrofuturism.
Yes, yes. So I'll stop fangirling, but that happened this year. It will take place next year, so we're looking forward to that.
Okay. Same with another great interview that we did with WCIU that hasn't aired yet. Momami, talk to us about sort of what you thought about sort of that questioning and sort of what that gentleman's, what's his name again, Kevin?
Brandon Pope.
Brandon Pope,
He's
who's
the host,
NABJ president, and he has his own quite a few shows. He's got a couple of shows in Chicago on Chicago Air, and then also his own podcast. What'd you think about that interview?
I thought that was a lot of fun. It was really great. It's been really interesting seeing this like resurgence of interest in house music, kind of like we talked about, like an interest to document it and put it somewhere and show it in a formal, artistic piece of work. And I thought it was great to have everyone's perspective, hearing Kevin's stories of the warehouse taught me a lot. I was like, I didn't know that they had like a juice bar and stuff, because, it was really great kind of hearing the history and then giving my input and my kind of like, modern perspective on house music, just to hear the way we each answered the same questions differently from our own experience, our own expertise, our own, hearing the way each of us have interacted with this huge genre of house music from our own perspectives. That was nice. I really liked his line of questioning. I have a good feeling when it does finally come out, it's going to really paint the picture well. I think the whole Beyonce album and stuff got a lot of people talking, and I hope it doesn't stop there. I hope the conversation continues and a lot of people realize that house music has been in the background for a while. So I'm excited to see where we build from that interview.
That's true. And guys, we also did an interview with CityCast, another podcast in Chicago it's a nationwide podcast, but it's CityCast Chicago. That was also very interesting. Kev, what did you think about that interview? Do you remember that?
I actually didn't participate in that interview, but
it was just me and you, Lori?
Yeah, I think it was you and Lori that did the CityCast interview, and that did air early. I think it was early fall.
Yeah, that was great.
And then they allowed us to, they gave us the interview, so we aired it on our, it's on our podcast channel as well. So, which I thought was really cool to do.
Yeah, we got to read.
And they were right on time.
It's beautiful. It's really well produced. I mean, it just inspired me to work with those folks, and they do a show every week, and it's really cool. So that's something we'll put out there again for people to listen to. If you haven't had a chance to, you'll enjoy it.
Right. And so, Kev, I'm talking to you now about For the Culture. That's what I meant to talk to you about. The For the Culture CAN TV, Chicago public radio, public television event. And they have, so they are now, CAN TV in the past has been, people could submit, they could do the things different, the entire city can be a part of their, television network. But they are actually now, actually soliciting particular shows that are produced by CAN TV with real hosts and, in different subject matters, political, cultural, that kind of thing. And so one of your friends, Ms. Steed, did a wonderful interview with us. Talk to us about that and sort of what you thought about the outcome of that edit.
Well, so everyone knows, because I always share that I'm a stout and devout Illinois alum. And so our network is just as rich and robust as many of our tribes. And in such, part of the Illini alumni tribe, there's a friend and colleague I have in Christina Steed. Her program just kicked off. I think we were episode 5 of this show called For the Culture, which is a reflection on Chicago culture and things that are continuing to sustain and to help Chicago thrive as the Mecca of the Midwest and the US, frankly, that it is. And so Christina's done a great job. She went through the CAN TV or cable access network training experience and has really assembled a solid team and format for hitting on these assets and that make up Chicago culture, and of course house music being one of those. She embraced a conversation with Lauren and I to talk about, the work that all of us are doing with the Vintage House Show, and a little bit about the history of house music and its impact through 2022. So we sort of recapped some of the things that we had all been involved in leading up to that interview. So the first half of the year, we got to talk about that. It aired, I think it's re-aired as well, and it's available on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on their YouTube channel as well. All right, guys, so let's talk about 2023. And I'm going to start off with, we are going to improve our podcasting. We're going to do one every 2 weeks, make sure it's beautifully edited, etc. And I'm hoping that we're going to resubmit that podcast and all of our team to some of these best of Chicago lists. Like, we had a nice little run with DJ Lori Branch being considered one of the best DJs in Chicago, which I thought was wonderful. I thought that was great. She was beaten by a hair. Who won that? Derek Carter. I mean, Derek Carter's like all over the world, isn't he? I'm like, darn it, that sucks. But
I think those competitions are silly and they don't mean anything. And I appreciate it. And I thank you. But there's no such thing as the best DJ of anything. DJing is an art. The listeners are the critics. And, some like you and some don't. And everybody's got different tastes. I appreciate it, but I think it's a subjective thing. I would never not say thank you. Because it's nice to be recognized as a representation of the culture. But that's how I feel about it. Okay.
Listen, I love all these mature adults who didn't do DJ battles back in the day. You weren't talking about, the DJ battle is subjective, 20, 30 years ago. It's like, you're like, I'm winning this DJ battle. Okay.
Yes. Well, yeah, they still do battles. I mean, not like they used to. Everything was a battle back in the day. Like you couldn't even call yourself a DJ unless you was in a battle,
Look, I say we still in a battle today, guys. I'm battling it out all year, but we're gonna up our game with production wise, with our webcasts, etc. With our guests. Let's do that as well.
Let's do it. Let's have some battles this year. But what is that?
Let's do some battles, man. I'm down with the battles.
I think we should do a show on DJ battles because there is psychology around that. And I do think there are many pros and many cons to subjecting people to competition. And what does that mean in the DJ space?
No doubt.
Competing for listening. Well, you're competing for like a prize, if it's an event.
Bragging rights.
Well, it's something else. I mean, I will say, look, I've been doing this for 40 plus years. Those DJ battles are still fresh in my mind. I remember the nerves. I remember the people. I remember Farley Keith and Steve and Chosen and Celeste. I remember all of those moments like it was just yesterday. And that's because it forces you to you have to bring such an A game, and I think it'd be interesting to have that conversation. Like, what is the value? What's the challenge? Because it does create these dichotomies that you have to wonder about. But we should do a show on that.
And a battle.
And a battle. This
I don't know.
I mean, host a battle.
Maybe. Yeah.
Think about it. Think about it. People came to those parties to go to the battle. I'm surprised that Rhonda Flowers, we're giving her an idea right now. She should have a young people DJ battle, an old people DJ battle. Is that correct? Is that incorrect?
Yeah.
Old people DJ battle?
I think there's different ways to do it. That's why I said we need to have a longer conversation about it because,
let's bring in the people who did those battles.
A battle in 1980 is very different than a battle in 1990, which would be very different than a battle in 2000, in 2010, 20. These different decades have different ways that people play house music. You know what I mean?
Technology is different.
Everything is different. And what was important is even different, So I'll stop there. That's a teaser. So we can have a longer conversation about this later.
We got to do that. What other shows do we have to do, guys? And first of all, I want to get back to having fun in the studio. We are not in COVID anymore unless somebody's coughing, then don't come to the station. Listen, we used to party in studio. DJ Momami, DJ Rocky, Kevin had 19,000 people in that studio once from U of I, packed into that other room. It was ridiculous, but we partied. Lori Branch had every ding dang pioneer of house music in the thing. I was like, what? I came in once and I was like, the heck, Sylvester and my boys. And I was like, what's he doing here? It was house music.
I'm gonna bring the lighting back.
Then all these people, and I was like, and we were just partying. We were arguing
We'll
a
do
little
it
bit.
again.
There was debate, but there was
Yes.
some partying. We got to get back to turning the lights off and just having a good time. Let's what can we do that this year, guys? What do you all think?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, done.
I'm still
Absolutely.
scared of COVID though, but I think we can. do it.
Right. It's still there, but don't want to, we
still
don't want
there.
everybody. We just want the ones that don't come in coughing.
Thank you.
Right, exactly. We want to have fun. Rocky, I appreciate your team and the people who you bring into the studio who have sort of a unique character. There are people who've been playing this music for 40 years and they don't have the shine of the chosen few, etc. And they have history and they're the business of house and also the culture and the music of house music. We want all of them in the studio. Let's just have like some conversations with a bunch of people these days. The only problem is, of course, our technology. Because I don't know if all the mics are working in studio too, but I'll get on the Slack and be like, put these microphones back on so we can get a bunch of people in. Ashley, we want all of Pilsen. We want all of Whitney Young. We want every young person, all the Latin crowd. We want everybody who in the studio. What do you think about 2023 in terms of like the folks you can bring in this year?
Yeah, I hear y'all on wanting to kind of bring back that lively experience. I agree with Kevin, the lighting in there, you just got to set the mood, the ambiance. I definitely want to also think outside of having and interviewing DJs and even bring in people who are artists or songwriters or have worked in fashion and are influenced by house or have grew up in that house influence, and maybe they're not like DJing, but they submit a playlist and we play 2-3 songs, interview in between, talk about why they picked that song, things like that. I really want to branch out and make the space, continue to push stories and narratives in a way that is beyond just DJs as well. I think house music, there's so many people that play a role in house music, and I want to bring some of those people in, even if it's producers or whoever, maybe not DJ specific, but expand that conversation a little bit, push that margin a little bit.
Please, that's so important. I mean, again, the DJs get all the love, but the people behind the scenes, I want when I think about old music forms, and that's just in my head right now, you're certainly going to be thinking about newer, sort of more contemporary things, but I always want to know who was in the studio when someone produced that music, like who was on the boards, who was doing this, who were just sitting there, because normally in these things, everyone's got their entourage, just always some folks who was just sitting there. I want to talk to them. Rocky, who do you think you have this year who might be sort of interesting and unique that we haven't had on the show before, may have a different point of view or sort of that we normally show?
Well, I'm actually in the works of trying to get some of the East Coast originals. I've been in the talks with a couple of people about trying to get, like when I first started, I had brought in DJ Patty Kane, who's from the East Coast. I guess there's a couple of people that I have connects with, and I'm going to talk to them about their input into the house music, into the culture, and also I'm going to have I've been trying to talk to some people down south. A lot of times with almost any of our culture, there's always that, house music started here and hip hop started here and blues started here, but there's also a great influence coming from the other areas of the country that need to have their say as well. So I got a couple people I'm gonna talk to. It's a lot of us are, most of us who have moved to different regions and relocated have a great impact on the area that they're at now. So I'm gonna see if I can reach out to a couple people. I have the East Coast is what I'm gonna work on initially, because there's of course with the Winter Music Conference coming up, I get all these phone calls from people because I used to do a lot of the stuff, promotions and stuff down there as well. So now I'm getting all these phone calls like, hey, are you going, blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. And so now when they're reaching out to me, well, you know, I'm gonna do something for you. So here's what I need you to do for me. I'm working on the first person I'm working on is DJ That Girl Curly. She's a big DJ out of New York, and she is a whole different realm of music in her mind and even in her conversation. So I want people to experience Curly that don't experience Curly. So.
Well, guys, as executive producer, I am going to be throwing some interesting architects of house into the mix this year. I've been reaching out. My two business partners, Lori Branch and Kevin McFall, tried to stop me. No, I'm just kidding. They're like, Lori, can we get these people? Can we get these, legendary people to come to the show? And I was like, they're like, I don't know, I'm not sure. I was like, we can do it. We can do it. And so far, I've had a great response to bring in some people who are legends of house, but don't always get sort of the, sort of Chicago brightness, I think, in certain ways. And many of them are out of the country now. So they are doing their things globally. And they have already said that they want to contribute to our podcast and our webcast and want to tell their story, because oftentimes they really haven't told their stories so much. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we're going to have some unique guests that I might be throwing in to some of your shows. So, I appreciate you all being open to that as well. And sometimes we do this ARC festival and, they want some of their artists to also be interviewed. So we may try to throw some of them in as well, like Hiroko and, some of the DJ Pierre last year, we got to interview him because of their involvement in these festivals. So we hope to do more of that. What else are we doing in 2023, guys? Besides partying, more partying and having fun. You're muted.
I say we're continuing to solidify legacy. So we're going to work on our exhibits. So Kevin and Lauren and I, through the foundation and through the Vintage House show, are going to work on showing the exhibit, which is really kind of a comprehensive timeline of the beginning of the movement, sort of what led up to what we have now, sort of our own version of Throughline. And that is something that we're working closely with Design Chicago.
Design Museum of Chicago.
Thank you, Design Museum of Chicago.
MOC.
Yes, and that hopefully that will happen by spring, where we'll see a new and better version of the Chicago Home of House exhibit. And so we're working hard on that to bring it across Chicago, but potentially across the world. So we, that's something I really want to devote some time and energy to. We may be looking for staff for that. I think that's a big deal. We're documenting in other ways that we'll keep under wraps.
Prayers for us to really realize our dreams this year. This is a big year for Street Beat as well. It's 40 years of the WNUR Street Beat show. So we hope to be contributing to some, sort of in-house celebrations for that and bringing in people for that as well. And guys, I think across the board, we just did a really unique interview with a Chicagoan who is now in New York and global with both house and all kinds of different music forms. And he really and I think all of our interviews always come to what is going on with Chicago and unification of the house music communities. We have to find more ways to collaborate on all levels. And if we set the standard in collaboration, so I expect us to do that on every level, however we can. We want to contribute however we can with all of our information, all of the information that we have across the board. How can we collaborate with other podcasts, with other DJs, with other nonprofit groups that are doing unique work? And so I want us to really sort of think about collaboration this year and spreading that for 2023 so that people across the board begin to collaborate. And that's how we raise the level of how house music and the current sort of some of the house music legends become even more exposed to the world. Because again, I'm looking forward to the time where DJ Lori Branch is on stage, in Berlin with Tiesto or, whoever, you know what I mean? Like, I want us to do something that big and we're contributing to it. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to, just in that same vein, acknowledge the partners and collaborators we have worked with, over the years. Certainly everyone from the Pinterest.com team to Rhonda Flowers, D Case,
Yes.
the social Black cultural social map.
Mhm.
The Black Chicago, the Black
Thank you.
Chicago social
Never
culture
did.
map.
Thank
Dr.
you.
McNeil, who we've mentioned a couple times already. That's a great collaboration. They do wonderful
Indeed.
work, and we're going to continue to do more.
Absolutely. And the many other entities, the podcasts who have taken the opportunity to interview members of the Vintage House crew and the national platforms, right, that are starting to reach out. I did also want to shout out Michelangelo Matos, who did an article in Rolling Stone magazine. While there was not a specific mention of Vintage House, he did credit the Vintage House crew with enabling him to be able to cover the story that has been burgeoning around Trax Records and the reconciliation that's occurring there. And so those collaborations are happening, and they're having an impact truly against our mission, right, of fostering the sustainability of the genre and ensuring that the true narratives are coming forth to the forefront.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, look forward to a wonderful 2023. We're going to have, I think, a really fantastic year. Keep us all on point. We have to keep each other on point, making sure we're as professional as possible, but having fun and really embodying what house music is all about, which is love and community and acceptance. And now we have to sort of bring it to the next level. And that's what we're doing here at the Vintage House Show. Thank you all.
See you in 2023.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy New Year. Everybody be safe.